Commissioner McGrath, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Ramona. Thanks for having me on.
You've met here in Bucharest with officials, politicians, but also with professionals in the system of justice as part of the Commission's report on the rule of law. What is your assessment at this point compared to last year's evaluation and recommendations?
Well, thank you for the question. Our evaluation is ongoing and we will provide the outcome of that when we finalise the Rule of Law report for 2026. So there will be a country chapter for Romania. It will look back at the recommendations that we made last year for the country, and we will assess what progress, if any, has been made, and we may decide to include new recommendations as well. So the visit here this week has been part of that engagement and dialogue, listening to a diversity of voices, including of course the government and the public authorities, the judiciary, the prosecutors, but also civil society, so that we gain as full a picture as possible, including by engaging directly with the members of Parliament, which I did today as well. And all of that now will feed into our reflection of the rule of law environment in Romania, and we will take stock and adopt the report in July that will set out our analysis. We recognise there has been good engagement and cooperation with the authorities, between the authorities and my service within the Commission. I expect that that will continue. We want to see progress on recommendations that we have made. We acknowledge the initiative by the Prime Minister to set up the new committee to examine the justice laws, and we know that a number of proposals are being considered as part of that, including potentially extending the jurisdiction or the reach of the Anti-Corruption Directorate and the Directorate into Organised Crime and Terrorism, possibly to now encompass the investigation and prosecution of criminal offences in the judiciary, including corruption. So we want to see in Romania, as around all of the other member states, a good track record of investigating and prosecuting high-level corruption cases. That is a key priority.
There are voices among the politicians, but also inside the system, that consider the Commission's reports are too lenient and ask for a more severe assessment. Are you aware of these requests? Have you talked about them today in your meetings?
Yes, we heard different perspectives today on the Commission's Rule of Law report. That is normal, and we are open to criticism, and we welcome it, because we have to be challenged, and it's good for us to hear different points of view on the issues that we are examining. But what I can say without fear or favour is that the Rule of Law report represents the objective assessment of the European Commission of the rule of law environment in each member state, looking at the four key pillars. And it is the culmination of quite an extensive process of evidence gathering, of information exchange, of dialogue with a range of stakeholders. Not everybody will be happy with the content of any report. I think we can all accept that, but we listen to all voices, and we want to be challenged, because we're always looking for improvement and to make the report as effective as it possibly can be. And I'm a year or so into the new mandate of the Commission now, my first time being an EU Commissioner. I've learned a lot in the last year, and I think there's no substitute for coming to the country, meeting with the key interlocutors, hearing their point of view, and then seeking to reflect that as best we can, backed up by evidence in the report itself.
The process of selecting the new Romanian chief prosecutors has started. We found out the candidates here in Bucharest, and most of them are already at the top of the system. That's why some fear that the competition will not be relevant enough in order to boost the investigations, especially the anti-corruption investigations. Do you have any concerns about that? Did you talk about this today?
Yeah, I think the important thing with all of these processes is that it would be merit-based and that the best candidate be allowed to come through and win the competition and secure the appointment. That's the most important thing when it comes to these key positions across the justice system, and I believe that the process involved in such appointments, it must be transparent, it must be accountable. Such a role plays a vital function, has a vital function in relation to the administration of justice and ensuring that there is public confidence in the magistracy as well. And I think that is the crucial ingredient that we all strive to achieve. I also acknowledge the reforms that have taken place in the area of lobbying, for example, and asset declarations, and of course we're monitoring developments in that area to see the implementation and the follow-through and the impact of that. And the work that is being done in Romania is complemented by the work at an EU level. Just late last year we reached agreement between the Member States and the members of the European Parliament on a new directive on combating corruption in the European Union with a harmonised set of criminal offences, for example. So that was hugely important. We look forward now to the transposition and implementation of that, and later on this year we will adopt an EU-wide anti-corruption strategy. So we're playing our part at an EU level, but we're working very closely with all of the member states, including Romania, to support their efforts in tackling high-level corruption and to clearly demonstrate that track record of rooting out any remaining corruption, because we know that it is insidious when it occurs. It damages democracy, it damages the fabric of the justice system, and it damages public trust in institutions and in the justice system. So we're monitoring very closely the work of the new committee that the Prime Minister has established, and the point I made today to him and to the Justice Minister was that we are available. There's a vast amount of expertise and experience and knowledge within the European Commission, because we deal with these issues on an EU-wide basis across 27 member states and indeed the candidate countries who want to join the EU. So I always say to member states, please use the resource and we're here to provide support and assistance.
There's also a real constitutional crisis these days in Bucharest concerning the pensions reform for the magistrates. Most of the representatives in the judiciary oppose it and claim it would affect the independence of the system. What's your take on this issue?
Yeah, and as you know, this is part of Recovery and Resilience Plan as well, and there's a relationship with that, and so my colleagues in the Commission and other services are working with the Romanian authorities in relation to that matter. From the EU's point of view, it's not just about isolating magistrates. It involves wider reforms of the pension system, making sure that the provisions are balanced and proportionate as well, and therefore we acknowledge the efforts that are being made to introduce reforms, but of course the matter remains before the national courts, and we don't comment on decisions that the national courts make, but we are engaging with the authorities on an ongoing basis on these efforts to introduce reforms. And I know it comes at a time when there is a significant amount of fiscal consolidation being undertaken in Romania, and I know that's always difficult, and I think the solidarity of all strands of society is important when everybody is being asked to make a contribution and to make some sacrifices for the greater public good.
My last question concerns the state of democracies in Europe, which are facing many threats and challenges, and here in Romania we've experienced probably the worst, in the worst way possible, with the cancelled elections, and the support of the Commission was vital since then. How can Romania and actually the other states, member states, face these challenges further. Is this a battle that we are losing against disinformation, hybrid threats, and so on? Because sometimes it seems that way.
I think the important point is that we must face these challenges together, because these challenges, they don't respect borders, they don't stop at any border. We know the scale of Russian interference in Moldova last year, for example, in the parliamentary elections, and it is because of the support of Romania and other member states of the European Union that Moldova was able to withstand those extraordinary efforts at interfering in the democratic election. I'm in charge of the establishment of this European Centre for Democratic Resilience. It will be done in full respect of the competences of the Member States and of the Commission. So the conduct of elections is a matter for the Member States. But there is a lot that we can do together. We can share information, we can better collaborate and coordinate our efforts. There is some very good examples of excellence and capabilities across the European Union at tackling foreign interference and the spread of disinformation. We have to acknowledge the role of digital disruption here as well, and we have to deploy centrally at EU level the legislation that we have in place, such as the Digital Services Act and the AI Act, and we have to support independent media through the European Media Freedom Act, for example. So there's a lot that we can do centrally, but the most important message, I think, is that we need to work together, because there are real threats out there, and we have to make sure that all of the elections that take place within the European Union are free and fair, and that the citizens of Romania and of every other member state of the EU get to exercise their democratic entitlement to choose whomever they wish to represent them locally, nationally and at European level. That is all that we are seeking to support as a European Commission, because if we allow the fabric and the integrity of our democracy to be undermined by hostile actors, whether they be foreign or indeed domestic, then we will all suffer as a result. So for me, it's about working together, and we stand ready as a Commission to support the efforts of the Romanian authorities to counter these threats.
Commissioner, thank you very much for this talk.
Thank you, Ramona.